welcome to the Chile Today podcast. I'm Bethany Francis.
And I'm Lenny Kluge.
We're two immigrants living in Chile talking about Chilean news, cultural events, travel, business, and more.
If you want to support our podcast, check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/The Chile Today Podcast. That's one word. www.patreon.com/The Chile Today Podcast.
Okay, we're recording? Hey, Lenny.
Hey, Bethany.
Aw, you're making fun of my inflection.
Am I? Oh, no, that was actually...
That's just your voice? Oh, okay. How are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited because on Sunday, I'm doing my first D&D table, or I'm participating in my first D&D table for the first time in like 6 years. So I'm very excited. I met with the Dungeon Master last night. I
just wanted to ask you, you're not going to be the Dungeon Master.
No. I've tried that, and it was so stressful, I couldn't even. So I was like, no, I just want to play. And so I finished creating my character last night with the DM, getting some like tips and tricks, and I'm ready to go.
So what are you?
I am, oh my god, the poor listeners. I am an elf.
Yes.
That grew up in the Feywild, meaning I'm a specific type of elf called an Eladrin from the Winter Court, and I'm unsully, which means unseelie, sorry.
This is like the unsullied.
I'm unsullied.
That was Game of Thrones.
Unseelie, yeah. I'm in the unseelie court.
Actually.
Yeah, my bad. And so I'm a male, pansexual, sexy elf with black hair that's really shy.
So welcome to the Chile Today podcast, bringing you the latest in news.
And news and updates in Chile, but you wanted to know about what I'm doing in my life. That's what I'm doing in my life.
Stiff, yeah.
Fairies and stiff.
Fairies and stuff. I don't know why I said stiff, but hey, that's all right.
I mean, if fairies make you stiff, I'm not judging.
Hey, man, no king shaming here.
No king shaming. So anything else you've been doing with your life? Oh, you have more soda.
Oh yeah, I got more soda. I mean, we still need the thumbs up from the health ministry, because as long as we don't have that, we can't sell. But they arrived this week, and thank God.
Yeah, if you don't know, Lenny is an importer of German sodas.
I'm the soda don.
Mm-hmm. He's the dawn of soda.
Yeah.
The rebirth, if you will, the renaissance of soda. Speaking
Call
of
me the Michelangelo of soda.
Speaking of sodas and free things and fun things, follow us on our Patreon. You guys that are on our Patreon have noticed we have so many tips for you if you're traveling in Chile, or if you want to know more about Chile. We have tip sheets, just the tip sheets on how to, get around Chile. We have best places to brunch in Chile. Recently, what was the last thing that we added?
Useful apps to have in Santiago.
Useful apps to have while you're visiting Chile. How to get
Yeah, we're not talking about Facebook, Twitter, because everybody has that.
No. These are like specifically Chile-oriented apps that you can use on your phone. We have tips, tip sheets once a month, and then of course if you are on our $5 to $20 level, you get all of the things from all of the months, plus freebies and all sorts of fun things.
Yep, sign up. Pay us money, make us rich.
Discord.
I need a second Corvette.
Whatever.
Oh God!
If I had a Corvette, I wouldn't be playing Dungeons and Dragons on the weekend.
Yeah, you still would.
It's would.
Fun.
It is fun. Anyway, so what I was going to say is this episode is going to be dedicated to updating you guys on news, because we've been focusing on fake news for the past...
Dedicate the episode to somebody.
This one's dedicated. Hey, it's dedicated. Honestly, it's dedicated to all of our patrons.
Oh.
It's dedicated to all of our patrons. Shout out to some of our new patrons. We have Patrick B, Patrick F, Nina, Karen, Kelly, and Mauricio G. All of you guys, new guys to the pod, we love you.
The Patreon posse.
Yeah, so, but what I was going to say, but we love you, patrons. But what I was going to say is that we're doing a news episode because we've been focusing on fake news. We thought you'd actually want to know the real stuff that's going on in Chile, not the fake stuff. So you want to get us started off,
Sure,
Lenny?
But I think let's tell them a little bit about upcoming events.
Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is we have a change of the date for our upcoming pub quiz.
Yes.
We're changing it from the 20th of August to the 10th of September because of reasons. So that one's going to be on September 10th. But before that, we have some other things coming up. The most recent event, or the closest event to where we are now, is on August 11th. That's the Horrible movie night, which is, debate or not whether it's horrible, it's definitely cringy, which is Zoolander, and we're gonna play like cringy 90s and early aughts bingo. So like you have to play bingo with like things that you see that make you cringe, like really bad German accents, or like
I'm really looking forward to this.
yeah, or like, you know, I don't know, different things. Like that cat meow, like
the middle part haircuts.
The middle part haircuts, tracksuits.
Yeah, tracksuits.
All of the like
Play
really
shirts.
corny, sassy, what?
Stoners.
Stoners, like all of the stereotypes that existed in the early aughts and 90s.
Baggy
So it's gonna be
pants.
fun. Baggy pants, yes. So that one's on the
Low-key
11th.
Sexism. No.
Low key. No, I mean those like it's like you know, like kind of like, I don't know, blatant homophobia. Like let's just not. No homo moments.
No
Those
homo
are
moment?
no homo moments. You know, in like of. Sorry, Pinguino just showed me a picture of Boric in a hard hat from the inauguration today in a little red vest, and it's absolutely
That
adorable.
is-
It looks like he's trying not to mess up his hair, but like what hair?
Can somebody
know what I mean?
crochet that one? Like the Bernie
No,
doll?
that's such a good idea. Oh, it's so adorable. Okay, so anyway,
Anybody?
focusing.
Oh, yes, we're professionals.
Okay, August 26th, the Chistolas are hosting a bilingual comedy show at Gran Refugio in Providencia, right?
Yes, there are
You're
two of
performing.
them. Yes, I am.
That's
I
so great.
Still don't know what, but I'll be performing.
That's great.
I mean, in the worst case, I just do a tap dance or whatever.
That's even greater. I hope that happens. And then, so that one is on the 26th. Then on the 30th, we're doing a new event, or the Chistolas are doing a new event, which is an English book exchange. We're going to come and play a game and exchange books in English, and it's going to be super fun. And if you are a patron on the Patreon, on all of those things, you either are going to get a free beer or free entry or some sort of freebie at every event. So check that out. And that's what we got so far. Or unless you have other events that you have written down.
Nah.
Your birthday or something like that.
No, my birthday's in December. Write that down.
I'm not gonna
Send
write
me
it down.
flowers and no, don't send me flowers. I mean,
Ooh, yeah. Send me flowers on his birthday. I want flowers.
send me cake. You can send me cake.
Cake is great. Okay. Now I want cake. Okay. So now for reals, we're gonna get to
Okay.
the news. The news this month.
Yes.
You're gonna start us off?
The news, yes, of course, because I'm going to start off as per usual with the COVID-19 update. I don't know, should we put this to bed soon because apparently nobody cares really more, but it's still there.
I mean, just a little bit of a quickie update.
Oh, you don't know me very well, do you?
Oh man.
Oh, no, actually, this one is actually a lot shorter than the last one. So, as of today, Friday, August 5th, we got 11,216 cases and a positivity rate of
Ooh.
15.4%.
That is a lot.
That is a lot, but I usually only look at the positive rate because it really depends on how much they're testing on any given day. Because, I mean, we've had, I don't know, like the last couple of weeks, numbers as low as like 5,000. But
Yeah.
then the positive rate kind of stayed the same, which means they just did a lot fewer tests overall. So it's not a great number. So that's why I'm always looking at the positive rate. So
Positivity.
positivity or positive?
Positivity.
Fine.
I
Yeah,
said
because I've heard both, but
positivity.
positivity. Okay.
We're
So,
serious journalists.
absolutely. Okay, so in other COVID-related news, a study by the Imperial College in London
Jesus.
has shown that since the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines, a total of 19.8 million deaths have been avoided thanks to the vaccines worldwide.
Nice. High five.
five.
But only with our
Yeah,
elbows.
Yeah, exactly, because we're still,
Hey,
responsible and shit.
in this podcast circle, none of us have had COVID yet that we know of.
Just don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. Okay, knock on your wood.
Yeah.
I mean, knock on wood.
No, I'm knocking on my... Jesus Christ, Bethany. Okay, so...
It's been a long week.
In that study, like Chile in particular appeared in that study with a rate of 76 avoided deaths per 10,000 people, which gives you a total of around 146,000 people, or about 0.8% of Chile's overall population. That doesn't sound all that impressive, 0.8%, but consider that the overall COVID body count, sorry for the choice of words
Well, I
here,
mean, you know.
is currently at around 60,000. So if it wasn't for the vaccine, it would be more than 3 times as high.
Jesus.
So thank you, vaccines.
Thanks, technology and science.
And
High
we're
five with
really
your
gonna
elbows.
need those vaccines because finally, the infamous BA4 and BA5 subvariants of the Omicron virus or variant have arrived in Chile.
Wasn't there a nickname that accidentally caught on Twitter?
Yeah, but that was the
Oh no, a different one.
the
There's too many.
275. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, but yep, they're finally here. Was really looking forward to it because I thought it was
Chest
never going to
bump.
happen. Yep, chest bump. So they are, of course, they are a lot
Red
more
masks.
contagious than the quote-unquote classic Omicron variant because otherwise nobody would really care. And it seems
there's Omicron. Oh,
Yeah,
God,
there's still the
I
Omicron.
keep forgetting which
Before
which
that was
phase
Delta.
we're in.
Yeah, I'm kidding, man.
Which phase of which mutation?
So it's not quite that clear apparently of how much more contagious they are. But when this news first broke more than a month ago, it was just spotted in the Coquimbo region. And 15 out of 40 positive results tested positive for one of these two subvariants. That's 37.5%. So that's quite sizable. And that was more than a month ago. So you
Right.
can imagine that's a lot more now. Actually, and epidemiologist Gabriel Cavada just recently said a few days ago that the rise in reinfections in the north is pretty much the harbinger of a new wave of infections. So welcome to the new wave. Welcome to the new wave.
Surf it.
Yep, surf the new wave.
Surf it.
I mean, at least we're at the peak of winter right now. We're moving back into spring-ish, so I guess maybe that's gonna mitigate this whole thing a little bit. But I wouldn't count on
winter.
it. Yep.
That, and I've already heard, in Chile, we already have our fourth vaccine, ready
Yeah.
and done, and hace meses. All three of us have had our vaccines months ago. I didn't even remember when I got one. There are already murmurs about a fifth for
Yep,
us.
there is actually. I've read about that, but I just skimmed it. I think it's due to be in October.
Scooby-Doo.
October, September, something like that.
with and then they go, of course, based on when you got your previous vaccine.
Yeah,
so
probably September. Nobody's gonna care in September. Everybody's drunk in September.
Oh, no, September
unless they do vaccinations at the fondas.
that would be
It's like
such a
get
great
a shot
idea.
and get a terremoto.
That is how you can vaccinate
Government,
the
if
entire
you listen-
country. If government of Chile, if you're listening,
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm available
Boric,
for
if
hire.
you're listening, you want to hang out? You want to hang out?
You wanna
You wanna
learn
hang out?
English here?
Mal says I'm not allowed to invite you to my wedding, but secretly you're invited.
All right.
It's gonna be fun.
So yeah, so they said so that news broke more than a month ago. There are apparently a lot more contagious these subvariants. Still, a month later, the positivity rate is still oscillating between 12 and 15%. So apparently it hasn't really caught on that much. But
Maybe that doesn't
Chileans
do like to hide inside during winter.
Good point.
That's the thing is it is we do have this whole winter things are more contagious, but the thing about if it's rainy or whatever, Chileans go to bars less
We're like
or
the
get
COVID
out.
role models.
Really,
If
we
only
are.
other people, if other
If only
countries could be
other
more like
people
us.
could be scared of the rain in Santiago. To be fair, it's in the regions it's different.
Yeah. So then, regional secretary. What am I saying? Regional secretary.
Because
of
you're
the
thinking
health.
sedentary as we have been in this
dude,
winter.
She's Sagittarius. Who knows?
Oh, Sagittarius.
I'm a Sagittarius, but I'm also
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's adorable.
Actually, I am there's actually a 13th sign. Dude, have you listened to this podcast? You gotta edit it, yeah. No, I'm like the 13th sign. There's a 13th. We can talk about after. It's really
I was born
interesting.
on the cusp of Aries and Pisces, which means I'm both a fire and a water sign at the
Oh my
same
God,
time.
I
know,
can't
my God.
even.
Okay.
Oh my God. So, Regional Secretary of the Health Ministry, Paula Salas, she implored people to get up to date with the vaccinations since these variants have shown to actually sidestep natural immunity response of previously infected people. So that might also explain why we don't see so much oscillation in the positivity rate, because a lot of people here are vaccinated.
They are vaccines.
But people that got infected with the COVID before and have not been vaccinated, they are more susceptible to getting reinfections with these new BA4 and BA5 subvariants.
One of my students today said his boss has had COVID 3 times. And I'm like, what is he doing? Is
I
he
don't
just
know. Does he have, like,
licking poles at this point?
Maybe it's like this card, like if you get 10 stamps, you get one for free.
I don't know.
It's like,
You get a free COVID.
yes, again.
It's a
Thank
special club that you get in.
you. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's
So,
called being a petri dish for a scientist.
The Petri dish club, right? So she implored people to get up to date with their vaccines, and this has also been backed by infectious disease specialist Michel Serri, who specified that while normally the immune response of previously infected people lasted up to 3 months, with the arrival of the new variants, it's now closer to about 1.5 months to 2 months. So get your vaccine.
That's all we're trying to
repeat
say.
this. That's
You
all
know,
we're trying to say.
you know us. If you've never listened to us before, we're vaccine pushers.
Yeah, we're pretty.
You can call us that. I don't mind. And if you join the Patreon, you get 1 discount ticket on a vaccine. I'm just kidding.
You get 1 vaccine for
You
free.
get one-
We made it ourselves. Trust us.
We made the vaccine.
You get
It's called
5
Proviant.
Yeah, we
Just
got-
drink it though.
Yeah, or inject, you get 5G, whatever. So yeah, but you were talking about like this thing that had a nickname. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, okay, look, there is actually another subvariant that is ravaging the European continent, or the
Ravaging.
North American continent right
Ooh.
now. Hey man, dude, like, I mean, I gotta make news interesting here.
Yeah.
The old world.
The old world and the new world, but only the northern part of the new world. That is a subvariant BA2.75, and that is better known as the Centaur subvariant. I mean,
Yes,
who comes up
the
with these names? This is
No, I think it was literally
it's
like
like
it was
Resident
like
Evil
a,
shit right here.
I think it was something like that. I read it on Twitter or something that somebody literally made it as a joke, like on a podcast or something, and then it caught on. I don't remember what it was. If somebody remembers, let me know. I'm not trying to spread fake news, but it was something like that, and everybody was like,
Oh, it
"Yes."
wasn't, but it wasn't that. It wasn't Centaur.
No, it was like it was a joke, and then it caught on. The Centaur
okay,
variant.
Okay, so I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah. It
is-
was a joke on like a podcast or I don't know, a tweet or something. So I don't remember what it was, but it
Jesus
started caught on the
Christ,
Centaur
dude.
variant.
Yeah,
I love it. I think
what
it's
are we gonna
hilarious.
have next time? Like the Harbinger variant? Like
I mean, it doesn't matter what we call it. Like, honestly, it's all SARS, 4 pints, and BIM. We might as well have fun
variant.
with it. Come
Good
on.
Lord, I mean, it sounds very end of the world, apocalyptic, whatever.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
as long as people stay and wear a fucking mask and wash their hands, I gotta tell you, the hand washing has gotten really irresponsible as of late.
Yeah, I'm not washing my hands as thoroughly as I used to, I gotta admit, but at least I
Lennart.
don't want to. Yeah, I'm sorry. So that subvariant apparently came originally out of India, and according to a study by the Dutch Public Health Institute, this subvariant is up to more than 5 times as contagious as the original Omicron variant, so but not necessarily more aggressive. So
Sure.
let's see how long it takes to get to Chile.
We'll see.
We're taking bets.
It'll end up in Talca.
We're taking bets. Yeah, of course.
It'll end up in
Talca.
Talca.
Who cares?
So, related to that, we have the Easter Island has chosen a great time to open. So, a lot of you listeners have been messaging us about when can you go finally to Easter Island, because that's one of, like a really popular Chilean tourist destination, right? You can go now. Okay, so the first group of tourists went to Easter Island yesterday. That was the 7th, after more than 2 years of them being closed down. And I imagine the natives of Easter Island really enjoyed those 2 years without tourists. Love you all tourists. I want to go to
Yeah,
Easter Island one
But then
day.
they were just like, we gotta eat.
Yeah, I mean, that is like the main, the main
Source of income.
There you go. That's the word. Easter Island, the place with the giant moai heads, for those of you who don't know, it's actually the biggest open air museum in the world. I don't know if you knew that. It's considered an open air museum. The
Well,
island
that could
is
have been a great
considered.
pub quiz question, but then you just ruined that.
Well, you know what? Honestly, we're gonna make it a pub quiz question, and if you listen to the podcast, you'll get that question for free.
Shit.
So this was the mayor of Easter Island was talking about this, and it has been 868 days as of yesterday, the 7th, since Easter Island was open to tourists.
I don't know, man. Like, if I were Easter Island, I mean, yes. I mean, look, okay, I can say that because I actually grew up on an island myself, not Easter Island, but also an island that is very much relies on tourism. And in a way, yes, we were annoyed by the tourists that came in every summer, but also, like, winter is just so dull. There's just nothing happening.
super
So,
boring.
like, if you get
like
a few
Vigna.
new, like, especially if you're in your teens and you find, like, somebody you might want to hook up with, some, fresh meat there.
Okay.
Hey, come on, man. We've all been.
I
young.
mean, I don't know. I'm not an islander. I'm from Arkansas, so nobody wanted my culture. Nobody wants it.
The French sold it.
Yep. So what the mayor, Pedro Edmonds, said is that in this process they've learned to take care of themselves, and now they're going to focus on taking care of tourists. Visitors must be fully vaccinated and present a negative PCR test taken no more than 24 hours before boarding a domestic flight
Sorry,
to the
taking
island.
care of tourists, that sounds so like
Taking
such a thing.
care of
It's not,
tourists,
no, that sounds like a
Thursday.
thinly veiled threat to me.
Oh,
We're
we'll
taking,
take
we're,
care of
we're
tourists.
taking care of tourists.
We're
you know,
taking
you're just
care of-
there.
I mean, so here's the thing. I'm not entirely sure. I'm assuming that fully vaccinated means, from what my research says, it would be the same type of quote unquote fully vaccinated that you can get into Chile, which means 3 vaccines. Because again, in Chile, you have to have 4 vaccines if you're a Chilean / a resident. If you're a tourist, 3 vaccines, not 2, 3. Or a negative PCR test taken no more than 24 hours before boarding the domestic flight to the island, which is what you have to take to get to the island. When you arrive to Chile the first time, you have to take an antigen test. Anyway, you can still get there. LATAM Airlines says it's reopened the route, and there are only going to be 2 flights right now, Thursdays and Saturdays, but they're going to add more, gradually increasing the frequency. And they're going to be coordinating with authorities. So if you've been waiting, which I have several of you have been messaging me about, like how you really wanted to go to Easter Island, when is it going to open? It is open now, so I don't know if there's going to be a big like rush for everybody to go there. I doubt it since it's still winter.
Yeah.
But there you go, it's open.
If you have the time, if you can afford it, go. It's beautiful, man. Just take your own food. Take a cooler with your own food.
You can take
Yeah, because it's a domestic flight. A lot of people do that. They actually take
Yeah.
a cooler. They take it as cabin baggage, because food is just really expensive on Easter
Yeah,
Island.
because everything is imported.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything is imported to Easter Island. Which I wonder, because the mayor did say, like, we've been learning to take care of ourselves. I wonder if they've been, like, really creative about how to, like, do other things with, I don't know, other resourceful, more independent things that relied less on the mainland, as it were. I don't know.
I don't know,
I
like
don't
attracting people from Tahiti or.
No, I meant, like, I don't know, being more independent. I don't know. I think it's always good to be more independent.
Amazon data centers, Google data centers.
Okay. What's your next thing?
Okay, fine. Well, since we haven't talked enough about the Constitution these last week, let me talk about a little bit more about the Constitution. So, the closer we get to September 4th, the date of the referendum, if you didn't know, the more the apruebo option is actually closing the gap with the still leading rechazo option in the polls. And I think that is and isn't surprising in a way.
It's because of our podcast.
Of course. I mean, it's not surprising because one of the main drivers of the rechazo was the Constitutional Convention, which really proved to be, let's say, fertile soil for all sort of fake news and assorted fuckeries.
If you want to know more about that fake news, check out our last
Check out
3
last
episodes.
No kidding. But since the Constitutional Convention is not around anymore, like, things have settled down a bit and people have actually started reading the draft to form their own opinions about it. And there are also, like, little booklets and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about this a bit later. But I think it also sort of is surprising a little bit that apruebo is gaining ground, because it has come to light just how much money is going into the rechazo campaign, especially
my gosh.
especially compared to its counterparts. So, according to an analysis of CERVEL, which is the National Voting Service, so
Yeah, it's the body that's in charge of the
yeah,
elections.
that one. So according to an analysis of the CERVEL data by the fact-checking or think tank platform Plataforma Contexto, about 28 million pesos have been funneled into the rechazo campaign, while the apruebo campaign so far has only received less than 500,000 pesos.
500,000.
That's 98% of all the funds going to the rechazo campaign. Hold on, is it 98%? Okay, I think I'm just fucking up. But anyways, maybe I used wrong numbers, but I have
But
to do quick
the
math,
actual amounts are correct.
yeah, I don't know about the amounts, but what is correct is that it's 98%. 98%. That is
I was
absolutely.
like, oh my god. And of course, the rechazo recently was like, Boric, you're putting too much effort into, like, you're being biased on the thing, because he's recently been very much, him and his administration have been pushing this,
it's
like,
a fine line he's walking.
I would say that, but the thing is like, that they've been very positive, like, put the information out
Yeah,
there.
and that's his job,
right?
but it's a
Yeah.
fine line by definition, I guess.
I mean, I feel like it's not, I don't know. My opinion is, if you're providing free copies and making available copies of the Constitution via PDF, that's just informing your public, right, about what's happening in the country.
Exactly. So yeah. So hold on, whether it's like 98% or the other numbers, like, the point is, a whole shitload of money is going to the rechazo, and then just basically a few, some pocket money is going to Abreu.
I mean, it was
in
just like the
comparison.
CAS campaign versus the Boric campaign, or the like other Pro Rechazo campaign. It was the same thing. It's like the rich people are
Yep.
not wanting it to be approved, so they're
Right,
funneling all
because
their money in.
if you look at the maximum amounts of the individual donation, that's actually quite telling, because like the largest single donation for the Rechazo campaign was 4 million, whereas the largest donation for the Apruebo campaign was about 300,000, which is more than half than the total donation of that the Apruebo campaign has received, which is just ridiculous, you know. That was
I
what
did donate 300.
yeah, that's the thing, you know, and it's like
I didn't know they were taking
like
donations.
you,
Everybody's like,
you
what?
could donate 300 right now, and you would probably be like one of the major donors
Oh,
of the whole.
man.
This is just ridiculous. So, you know, but it's not that
And
surprising
to
after all.
clarify, 300,000 is about at this point like $300.
So, go knock yourself out.
So you guys.
Yep. You know, I think it's not really that surprising after all if you have a closer look of who was donating to
Sure.
the Rechazo campaign. I mean, legally they're not required to reveal their identity, but some did, such as ex-minister under the Piñera government Felix de Vicente, construction businessman Luis Bravo, as well as the Hot family, who are shareholders in Soprole and other dairy businesses. And very much related to this whole thing, the investigative team of the news portal BioBio has found that of the 10 Facebook pages that spent most on advertisement on the social network, and we're talking about 10 Facebook pages in general, like not
Right,
only
right.
regarding the Constitution, 7 were created explicitly for the Rechazo campaign, while one is neither pro nor contra, and the other 2 pages were UNICEF and the ACHS, the Asociación de Chilena de Seguridad. So, like, those had absolutely nothing to do with anything.
What was it about there's been so many
Yeah.
bots?
And-
Do you have the bot info?
No, I don't have the bot.
Oh
But let me
my
just wrap this up.
God.
Like one of the pro Rechazo pages even paid more than 19 million pesos within 2 months on advertisement. Like, just to get you an idea, like how much money is going into that. So you were saying something about bots?
Oh, there are lots of bots.
All right, thank you. So
I mean, I don't have any of the numbers right in front of me,
Yeah, but I
like
heard
right
about that
now.
too.
But there are like they actually had like, obviously like they were, I don't know, like vast majority, again, don't have the numbers of Rechazo, and then like actually had like a map about where like the bots were working, and it was just like very obviously like super related to scaring people in like the richer neighborhoods and things like that. So,
Right, so you have like an army of bots on the one side, and then you have actually real Facebook pages where just a shitload of money's behind that. It's
I mean,
It's something.
They're working hard for that Rechazo to win. Oh, I read a headline today. I did not read the article, to be fair, but it was like, everybody in the world wants the Constitution to be approved except for Chileans. And I was like, well, that's very...
Where'd you read that?
That's very... it was, I think it was like on the routers or something like that. Again, I was just reading like just the
Reuters.
news. Yeah, routers.
Reuters. Like, Reuters is where my Wi-Fi comes from. So.
Reuters. Okay.
R-E-U-T.
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Okay, gotcha. So,
Reuters.
so that was an interesting thing. Now, in the last weeks, a few poll results were published, a couple of which I actually found even a bit more revealing than the diminishing gap between Apruebo and Rechazo. On Monday, July 18th, Carem published the results of the latest poll, which shows that 74% of the respondents are in favor of initiating a new constitutional process in case that the Rechazo option takes the win. Like, this is something that President Boric has alluded to in the preceding weeks.
Right.
And honestly, I was a bit surprised at this very clear result, because I think think what you will of the constitutional draft, like the fact is that the Constitutional Convention has not quite covered itself with glory in the past month. You know, there was infighting, outlandish proposals, and a bunch of half-baked norms that nobody was really happy with. But most of all, it was just an expensive endeavor. So
I mean, yeah, it costs money to do that.
And look, I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I mean, I think that's something that everybody must decide for themselves. And I also think that a lot of the bad rap that the Constitutional Convention got was thanks to the deluge of fake news.
Right.
But-
Bots and millions of
Right,
dollars
you know.
being invested in it.
But this still doesn't change the fact that the convention didn't look good in the eyes of the citizenry. So early May, almost 60% of the respondents of the Plaza Publica poll by Carem said that they had little to no confidence in the Constitutional Convention. So given this, like seeing that more than 70% want another constitutional process if Rechazo wins, that was a little surprising to me, I gotta say.
Yeah. Always take Kevin specifically with a grain of salt, though.
Yeah, but I don't really see what they could get out of that kind of result.
You
to be
never.
honest.
I say that sometimes to my political friends in Chile, literally politician friends, and they're like, you would think no, but they have like calculations of like how their particular answers can influence. If something is too high, then people don't vote because they're like, well, it don't mean my support.
Right.
So it's weird.
Well,
I don't know.
Actually, there was another poll that kind of was taken together with that result that kind of put things a bit into perspective, because a few weeks after that poll from Carem was released, the pollster Criteria published some results that put this a bit into perspective. It showed that in the case of a new constitutional process, a majority of 56.1% of the respondents would like to see the new constitution to be drafted by a panel of experts, and only 28.9% would prefer another constitutional convention to be convened. So that makes a bit more sense in my eyes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can sympathize with that, especially if those experts take the constitutional draft as a basis. And that way would preserve the spirit of the document, but effectively work out the kinks, you know?
Right. If you guys don't really know what we're talking about, as the people writing the Constitution are, a lot of them are just part of the
laymen.
citizenry, right? There's teachers, there's economists, there's engineers and lawyers, and all sorts of different kinds of people from different walks of life, which a lot of people were very, in support of, because people voted individually on who was going to be in the constitutional convention, to have not just a bunch of lawyers with their own sort of one side. They wanted the citizenry with different like socioeconomical levels and things like that to be involved, at least initially, right?
Yeah.
They might have changed their minds depending on what Kadem is saying right now, but
Yeah. No, I mean, the options was like either citizenry or politicians, basically, and then politicians would be lawyers and business people.
lawyers and people with business degrees
Yeah,
and
exactly.
engineers. Yeah.
Ingeniero comercial, right.
Commercial engineers, as they say.
So, but there was another finding in that poll that actually caught my eye, and that is that 89.2% of the respondents agree that the current constitution has reached the end of its shelf life. And at the same time, only 15.9% don't see any need for reforms if the draft gets approved, and only 10.7% don't see any need to have the current constitution replace it if Rechazo wins. So, on the other hand, 73.3% take a position that of either approve or reject to reform. You know what I mean?
Basically, most people want some sort of improvement on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. So
I
this
think we've known that since the 80% of the people voted Apruebo on the first.
yeah, but again,
plebiscito.
like almost 90% of the people said like this constitution that we have right now, that we can't have that anymore. That's almost everybody. So this means no matter whether Apruebo or Rechazo wins on September 4th.
The current constitution we currently have, not
Exactly, the
the
current one.
constitutional, like the thing that we're voting on.
So
1980.
The 1980
1981,
constitution, yeah.
So no matter who wins on September 4th, we have an overwhelming majority of the citizenry pushing for reforms. Like the only question is now, which document will be the basis for these reforms?
I mean, you'd think so, but like, are we going to have to hold another vote to do another Apruebo Rechazo on our potential new documents? We're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, we don't know that yet. But the thing is that politicians know that whatever option wins, there need to be changes made after that.
I mean,
How they're gonna
politicians
do?
know that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll
You know.
happen.
And then the thing is, like, I think what really is important in terms of political ideology is, okay, what document are we gonna use as a basis for these changes? And I think this is where the political right made a very smart move, because on Wednesday, July 20th, the Senate passed a motion to lower the quorum or to reform the current constitution from 2/3 to 4/7. So just so you don't have to do the math, in percentages, 2/3 is 66.6% and 4/7 is 57.1. So 4/7 is lower than 2/3. The motion was presented by the centrist party Democracia Cristiana. What was surprising here is that the motion passed with only 2 votes against and 1 abstention, when it was then dispatched to the Constitutional Commission of the Chamber of Deputies, which just a few days ago voted with 10-1 and no abstention to let the Chamber of Deputies take the final vote on the bill. Under normal circumstances, this motion would most definitely have been smothered by the right-wing coalitions, who are usually regarded as the gatekeepers for the current constitution. You
Right.
follow? But this is not a normal situation that we're in right now.
Nope.
Because the political right has their nose in the wind and they know that people want change. And the problem with that is that historically, due to the relatively high quorum of 2/3 required for constitutional reform, the right has mostly been able to fend off proposals for reform that weren't in line with their ideology, and people know that.
Yeah.
So people are like skeptical. People are like skeptical, and they say, look, if we vote rechazo, like who's gonna promise that the right will make the reforms that we need?
Right. There's been so many instances. I mean, so many instances when the people have made it quite clear what they want, gotten into the streets, voted, done all the things that they need to do to have something change in the Constitution. It's just gotten completely like smacked down once it reaches the votes, and
They don't have a great track record when it comes to that. So
Nope.
by lowering the quorum from 2/3 to 4/7, they are effectively one-upping the proposal of the new constitution, which also has a quorum of 4/7 for constitutional reforms. But for fundamental changes, the new constitution would require either a quorum of 2/3 or a quorum of 4/7 plus a referendum. And okay, just a caveat here, some people say that it will also need an additional thumbs up from the indigenous people, but whether that will or will not be the case, that's another can of worms, and it really depends on the interpretation of the respective norm.
lots of worms.
So, lots of worms. So if the Chamber of Deputies also decides in favor of this motion, then all of a sudden the current constitution will be even easier to reform than the new constitutional draft suggests, you know? And this could be a huge incentive, not only for those that want to reject to reform, but also for all those roughly 15% of citizenry that are still on the fence.
Right.
I think that's a bit, if you pro apruebo, that's a bit worrisome what's happening right there.
I mean, if you're paying attention, yeah.
Right, yep. So if you're still on the fence and speak Spanish, well, I got some news for you, because the portal Plataforma Contexto, in cooperation with the University Diego Portales, they recently published a guide to the constitutional draft called La Nueva Constitución de Chile con peras y manzanas, or in English, the new constitution with apples and oranges. The new constitution for
dumb
dummies.
people, yeah.
Exactly, for dumb
No,
people.
for dummies.
Jesus.
Sorry, like the dummies. The
For
dummies.
idiots.
No, like the thing that you read with that's yellow and black. They did
Yeah.
basically a thing like that.
Exactly. So that book is 80 pages short and tries to explain key issues of the constitutional draft using simple languages and infographics. And the book is being handed out for free in certain points. To find out where, you should follow the Plataforma Contexto on Twitter, on Instagram. That's at @contexto_CL. It's also available as a print copy for 3,900 pesos, which is cheap, or actually as a free PDF download on the website of the publisher LOM Ediciones. And in their bookstore LOM, which is located in the street Concheitora 29 in the center, as well as in other select bookstores, I don't know which ones. Now, the search option of that website is a bit crummy. I was looking for it like in the search bar and it didn't give me any results, but it took me a while and I actually found it. So I think we can post the link in the show notes so you can get a copy yourself.
Let's do it.
Or just download the PDF. I think I just skimmed it a bit and seems actually very, very interesting.
I looked at it today.
Anyway, moving on. Last small thing about the Constitution stuff. So, if you get your little book now, you still have about a month to read it, and if you...
Your little blue book.
Yep, if you already have the
little
right
flag.
to vote in this country, remember that elections are on September 4th.
And it's
they
obligatory.
Are mandatory, exactly.
They're mandatory. So if you need to check on the Cervel website to see if you as an immigrant right now are eligible.
Right. And, you only have a valid excuse if on that day you're either A, abroad, B, more than 200 kilometers from a designated polling station, or C, sick. That means probably also you would have to present a medical license.
It's 200 from your polling station.
Yeah, from your designated polling station.
Okay, I understand. I thought you said a designated polling station.
No.
Your designated.
But if you are slacking off for no good reason, you can actually get slapped with a fine from up to 3 UTM, which is around 174,000 pesos.
Yeah, so don't just be like, merp. Go vote.
Go vote.
Inform yourself.
Don't pay
go
the
vote.
fine. And that also applies to you if you're over the age of 60. There has been a rumor that made the rounds that people over 60 are exempted from this obligation, which is absolutely fake news. So if you're older than 60, gotta vote.
Yeah. Contact your friends now. If you have an elderly person or you have trouble getting to your polling station, contact a friend now. and see if you can get a ride share, all those things. I mean, I'm
I
being
mean,
serious because
you're being serious, but it's just like, it's funny. It's just such an American thing to say, because I've only heard this in American media. These calls to have them give you, which is great. But
no,
I've
because
never
there
heard
was
this in other
there was a
countries.
bus shortage.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely
During the
support you. It's
presidential
just-
election, like it was an actual thing where like buses were not running in like poor sectors of the city.
Yep.
And so like all of my friends that had cars were like scrambling, driving to different parts of the city to just give people rides to polling stations.
Totes.
It's like you have the right to vote, and you should, no matter what you're voting, you have that right. So so don't rely to think that your bus is going to get there. If you have a friend that's got a car, make arrangements for them to drop you off, pick you up, do what you need, because hey, they don't play. The Cervel doesn't play when those polling stations close down.
The
They
Cervel
will
is like mafia, man.
they
like,
will shut you out and use
Yeah.
the police to do it.
Dude,
So
they sent like
get there early.
rough boys to your house and beat you up and shit. So
Get there
but yeah,
early.
get a ride and try to find, like, if you don't know where your polling station is, as you said before, Bethany, just check cervel.cl. Check it in like 2 weeks from now, I would say.
Right.
Because
They're-
right now
they keep
there's-
uploading more and more people.
Because I checked it, it said, okay, you're registered here, you can vote, but it didn't really say where to vote. So I think this is going to be updated in a few times, and it would also say if you are a vocal de mesa, like basically
Yeah.
vote counting duty. I don't know how you
No,
translate
like
that.
you're working at a polling
Yeah.
station.
If you are a foreigner, you can't do that.
No, if you're foreigner, you can't. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like,
So
anyway,
check it
just-
out, and if you're vocal de mesa, make sure that you get there if you chill in vocal de mesa, because if you don't go there and show up, you will also get
because I
slapped
mean
with
there are
a fine.
there are a lot of people who live in Chile who are maybe half Chilean or whatever, but they're still Chilean. They might not know that living here that they could be pulled in to be a vocal. So like I think it's important that you put that information out there, right?
Right.
If you don't know how to check your stuff and you're like, Stella, Bethany, Lenny, help me, just message us on Instagram. We'll walk you through it, okay? There you go. Weed. Okay.
Yeah, man.
So on January 4th, there were a lot of representatives from the Independent Democratic Union, or UDI, which is Lenny,
Pinochet's party.
Pinochet's political party. They presented a bill for monitoring drug consumption in the lower house. So this is all drug consumption, but it's really aimed, to be fair, at people who smoke weed. Because if you've been in Chile for any amount of time, you know Chileans love their weed. I'm pretty sure they're the highest per capita smoker of weed in America.
I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. You walk down the streets, you just take one whiff.
I mean,
just like,
because it's actually legal to smoke. It's not legal to buy, but it's legal to smoke and grow.
yeah,
So it's like a
one of
whole
these
thing.
weird limbo laws that they have all over.
Everybody
the place.
smokes weed in this country. There's obviously political reasons behind this, because obviously a lot of them are younger, and therefore a lot of the more left people publicly have admitted to smoking weed, including our president.
Scandalous.
In the past, I'm not saying he smokes weed now, but you know he doesn't inhale. Womp womp. No, nobody. Okay, so I'm from Arkansas. I had to say it. The bill says that all representatives should be tested twice a year. And if a person tests positive, the person will have to take another test. And if that person tests positive again, the person will be disqualified from discussing or voting any drug-related bills. I have to say, I do not think this is going to pass. Because, again, I think all Chileans smoke weed,
Hold on.
including, like, rich, white,
Right. And
green
they're only
people,
going to be excluded from these specific bills?
from discussing and voting.
On drug-related bills? Like,
Okay, so we've been fact-checking this drug testing thing, and according to our fact-checking, there actually seems to be not really any specifically, like, dictated consequences. They're just going to make it public who failed the drug tests, so there's that. And they also said the goal is to prevent relationships between Congress and drug traffickers, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out either. So the final vote is going to be on August 13th.
sorry, you mean these really badass mafioso hardcore weed dealers?
Yeah, you know, the weed deal. But I'm telling you, like so many Chileans smoke weed, from like anybody to like I have students who have been like CFO, CEOs, ABC DOs, from everything. They all smoke weed, and so it just seems like really like so weird.
Can you imagine asking your like weed dealers, like, so how's the human trafficking going in the north? And they were like, oh,
Drug trafficking, not human
Dude.
trafficking.
yeah, but you know, they all do
Oh, yeah.
these things, and just like, yeah, dude, I don't know, man, whatever.
I can't. Anyway, so Jaime Saez, who's from the Democratic Revolution Party, told the Cañamo magazine that he, quote, likes cannabis. And that did not sit well with some political groups. The Republican Party's former presidential candidate, Jose Antonio Cast, no one's surprised here, tweeted that, quote, a congressman working under the effects of a drug is a danger.
The effects of the... Okay. Like he gets
He did the
stoned every
marijuana.
time. He did the Mary with the devil's lettuce.
He did the marijuana. He takes a pill of marijuana before he goes
He
into
injects
job.
the marijuana. He injects the devil's cabbage. I'm telling you. But he also, like he's not in session under like.
No, he's
You
not
don't go to
smoking
work
pot.
stoned.
Like he's not like doing a toke right before he goes into the.
I mean, depends on
thing.
the discussion. I would say. But
Right. Actually, I know a congressperson who said that if this gets approved, that they would quit. Like I know a congressperson that said
Quit
that.
what? The job or the drug?
The job.
Okay.
Like they would be like, fuck it. Anyway, so Gast continued to clarify that he does not legislate under the effect of any drug, which congratulations.
Just Jesus.
Okay, just those weird hallucinogens you take, Cast. Just fascism. Okay, so days after Saez's statement, Ana Maria Gasmurri, an independent Congress member, told La Tercera that she also consumes weed, and she says, I'm not only not ashamed of it, I grow my own plants and I speak about them. I act with my head up. You know why? Because I don't feed drug smuggling. So in her point of view, it's like, if this was legal, if we talked about it more, there wouldn't be a need to smuggle these drugs, and we could just like have an open conversation about it, which I tend to agree.
Yeah,
that's my own kind of
right.
situation. Again, why are we focusing on pot when like
And that's
It's
the thing.
not
Like,
even,
if they
like-
try to diminish the contact between Congress people and drug traffickers, I mean, sorry, I'm not an. I really am not. I don't barely smoke at all, but I'm pretty sure that most of the weed that people smoke here grows in Chile.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's not being trafficked.
No, the trafficking things is not weed, and like people need to stop worrying about like, oh my god, like it's not the problem. The drug trafficking is not weed. It's just not. It's cocaine. It's other things. It's not weed. And if they were testing for cocaine, then the right wing was.
I mean,
Okay.
I guess they're testing for.
I don't know
both,
what they're testing for,
but
to be fair, but I just think it's ridiculous. Like
If
this
they're
whole
going to be
thing.
drug testing, they better be testing for all.
They
the
better be
drugs.
testing for everything, right? So we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep you updated. Yeah. And I think that's all we're going to cover for today. Or no?
Hey.
Today.
Let's go smoke some weed.
Hey, you know what? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm not, you know, what the devil's cabbage or whatever they call it. Take a marijuana pill or whatever they say. But hey, do you. We're not supporting the use of dangerous pills on this website. Wait, what? Podcast? But everybody,
See,
you know.
she's high already.
See, I'm high on life. Okay, so thank you guys for joining in with us today. We'll update you next week on more news. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. And if you have any questions, follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, Gmail, all that kind of stuff, YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time. So when in doubt,
Green, go out.
okay, bye.
Bye. The Chile Today podcast is hosted by Leonard Kluge and Bethany Francis and produced by Diego Pingüino Rivera. For more information on the news topics you heard today, check out chiletoday.cl.